Hi guys, in this quick crochet extras tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make the letters H and J. And these letters are quite curly at the moment, they do need to be blocked, but we're going to be using the same yarn we've been using for the other videos, which has just fallen on the floor, and that is a DK light worsted weight yarn. And we're going to be using a crochet hook, a 3mm crochet hook, and like I always say, it's a good idea to have a yarn needle and a pair of scissors. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so the first letter we're going to do is we're going to start with the letter H, and to begin the letter H we're going to chain 17. So you need to chain 17 to begin. 1, 2, 16 and 17, so chain 17, and then what we want to do is we want to do 1 double crochet in our 3rd stitch from hook. Now our 3rd stitch from hook, we don't count the loop on our hook. There's our 1st stitch, there's our 2nd, and there's our 3rd. So yarn over, wrap the yarn round, 1, 2, 3. Our 3rd stitch from hook, we want to do a double crochet. This is in US terminology. So 1 double crochet in your 3rd stitch from hook, and then we need to do 1 double crochet in each stitch remaining to the top. Okay, so 1 double crochet in your next chain, and 1 double crochet in the next chain, until we get back to the other end. Okay, so I'm just coming up to the last 2. And the last one. So you've done 1 double crochet in your 3rd stitch from hook, your 3rd chain from hook, and then 1 double crochet in each stitch along to the other end. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. Let's chain 1. We're going to ignore that stitch. We're not going to count that as a stitch. It's just going to be a turning stitch. So you want to turn your work, and then we're going to do 1 slip stitch in that 1st stitch there. So we go straight into that 1st stitch, bring the yarn through, and then straight through a loop on your hook to do a slip stitch. And we're going to do 1 slip stitch in the next 6 stitches as well. So go into the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, and that should bring you to around about the middle of your soon to be H. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 12. So you want to chain 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So chain 12, try and unravel it, make sure they'll face in the right direction, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet in our 3rd stitch from hook again. So we don't count the loop on our hook. There's our 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and we wrap the yarn around first to do a double crochet, go into that 3rd stitch from hook and do a double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 5 chains as well. So go into the next stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So you do 1 double crochet in your 3rd stitch from hook, then 1 double crochet in the next 5 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to chain 10 now, so it's all very random. I'm going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So you want to chain 10, get some more yarn, and then again we're going to do 1 double crochet in our 3rd chain from hook, so we don't count the loop on our hook. There's 1, 2, 3, so in our 3rd chain from hook, yarn over, where has it gone? 1, 2, 3, 3rd stitch from hook, we do a double crochet, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 7. So go into the next one, do 1 double crochet, so that's in the next 7, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which should leave us with 1 chain left. 7, 7's the last one. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that everything's facing the right way. So the longest piece we did at the beginning is on the left, and that's going to be the bottom. What we need to do now is join that end and that end together. So where you've got these little chains in the middle, the one that we double crocheted in last before we did our chain 10, we need to go back into that chain, the same one there, and do a slip stitch. And what that does is join the line up the other side of your H. So it joins those ones up with the bottom ones there. And now what I want you to do is, what we're going to do now, what we're doing now, we're going to turn your work. So we're not going to go into these ones over the middle yet. We're going to go back up the double crochets we've just made. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn so that what double crochets we've just made are this side. And then in that first, so don't confuse it with the slip stitch you've just done, that's your little slip stitch there. Move the yarn to the back. In that first double crochet there, I'm going to put a hook in there, we're going to do a slip stitch. 1. And then we're going to do a slip stitch in the next stitch as well. And the reason for that is it just allows our work to go back up a little bit, because what we've done is we've joined up the top with the bottom, and then we need to sort of go back up slightly to give us the room, the height, to do the double crochets over the middle. I'll take my hook out and you'll be able to see, like so. So we've joined these two up there in that little slip stitch, then we've done a couple of slip stitch back up, and that gives us the height to go over the middle. So with your work facing that way still after doing your slip stitches, we're going to basically now work into these chains across the middle, and you should have 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 there. So into that first yarn over and into that first chain in the middle, on the middle bar, I'm going to put a hook into there and do a double crochet. 1, and then we do 1 double crochet in the last 3. 1, 2 and 3, so it's the very last chain. And then what we want to do is slip stitch to finish, but we need to count on this long bar we did at the beginning. There was the very last one we worked into before we went off and did all our chains going over to the other side of the H. So the next one up from there, and the last one we worked into with those slip stitches, if you remember. So count the next one up and then the second one up from there, so 1, 2, and put your hook into that second one up and do a slip stitch. And there we go. And then we're going to cut our yarn, put it through, and you can see by the end of that, if I bring like that, you have your finished H. But as you can see, that corner there is a lot straighter than these other ones, which are quite curvy, and we're going to sort that out with sewing in our tail ends. So grab a yarn needle. First thing we'll do is we'll hide this last one we just cut. So just go back into the same stitch you just slip stitched into. Just bring that over. Turn it to the other side, but there isn't really a right or wrong side. Just work it through some stitches and then back in the opposite direction. And then cut. Okay, so that gets rid of that one. And then to solve the squareness, because you can see that's a lot, these are a lot more curvy. This one looks the odd one out. So to solve that problem, we're going to thread our beginning tail end, and what we're going to do is we're just going to sew roughly over to the other side, but not quite over to the other side, just over a little bit. And then what that will do is we'll just curve it in a little bit, and then of course you can turn it over. There's no real right or wrong side, but just sew in your tail ends to finish. And you can of course do a much neater job, you have more time. And there we go. And like I say, with all the letters, you can block them by pinning them into place like so, and then getting them wet, letting them dry, pinned into place, and they should keep their shape a lot better. Or alternatively, you could just iron it quickly as well. Okay, so there's your letter H, and now we're going to move on to the letter J. Okay, so for the letter J, what we're going to do is, using the same yarn and hook, we're going to start off by chaining 11. So you want to chain 11 to begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So chain 11, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet in our second stitch from hook. Now we don't count the loop on our hook. There's the first, there's the second, yarn over, go into that second one this time, and do a double crochet. And then we just need to do 1 double crochet in each stitch across to the other end. Okay, so go into the next chain, do a double crochet, and do 1 double crochet in each stitch across to get to the other side. This is basically going to be the top of your J to begin with. Get some more yarn. And got 2 left. Try and get that last one. Okay, so we've done 1 double crochet in our second stitch from hook, then 1 double crochet in each stitch across, and that should give us a stitch count of should give us 10 double crochet. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little bit different. This last double crochet, I want to start working on this side rather than going back into these top stitches. Basically that's the reason for that is to you can see this end is quite curvy and this one's quite straight, so to solve that we're going to put our hook through the middle of our last double crochet, so literally right through as neatly as you can, right through the middle of that last double crochet and do a slip stitch. And then in the corner I'm going to do a slip stitch in there as well. So there's a couple of little stitches down there, and then that gets us over to this side, and hopefully you can see your stitches still quite clearly if you've just worked into the top loop of your chains. And what's next is to do one slip stitch in the next 3. Okay, so you did one in the corner there, which is technically your last chain. So in the next chain over we're going to do a little slip stitch in there as well, and then in the next, keep that tail out of the way, in the next chain I'm going to do a little slip stitch, then in the next chain I'll do a little slip stitch as well. And like I said, to make these easy to see when you go back in this direction, it's important when you work into them this side to begin with that you only catch one little loop of yarn on each chain, and it makes it easier to see the other side then. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 13. So we're going to chain 13 now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. So chain 13, and then in your second stitch from hook we're going to do 2 double crochet, so we don't count the loop on a hook. There's our first, there's our second, yarn over, go into the second stitch from hook and do 2 double crochets. We do 1 to begin, yarn over again, we go back into the same chain and do another double crochet, so you've got 2 in there. Okay, so you've got 2 in there. Then in the next chain we're going to do 2 double crochet as well. So go into the next chain, do 1 and another one, same chain, so you've got 2 in there as well. Okay, so you've got 2 in there. Then get some more yarn. Then in the next chain we're going to do 2 double crochet as well. Go into the next chain and do 2. So there's 1 and another one in the same stitch, 2. And then in the next chain we're going to do 2 double crochet as well. 1 and back into the same chain, 2. So you've done 2 double crochet in basically 4 chains. Okay, so you should have doubled up to about 8. And then what we're going to do is you should have 8 chains remaining, and in those last 8 chains we're going to do just 1 double crochet by itself. Let's go into the next chain and just do 1 double crochet by itself, and 1 double crochet in each chain to the end. You should have 8, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's fiddly. 6, 7, and we should have 1 left for 8, and there he is. Last one, 8. Okay, so 1 double crochet in the last 8 chains. And then what we want to do is just slip stitch to finish. We want to slip stitch into, there's the last one we slip stitched into before we chained, if you remember, the bottom of our J, top of our J. And then count one over, one chain over, then count another one over, so 1, 2, and then another one in that third one. So 1, 2, 3, go into that third one, you hook in there and do a little slip stitch in there, and we're finished. And cut our yarn, and there you can see the finished J. What I'll do is I'll hide these tail ends and show you properly. So thread in this one, and you may want to sew up that gap if you want to. You can just do that very simply. Like I always say, you can do a much neater job than I am, because I'm always up against the clock. So there we go. So you can sew that up if you want to, and then take it to the back, and then just hide. Sew it through a few stitches, and then trim. And then same again for the beginning one, and we don't need to do anything particular with this because we've already curved it round, so it's sort of already at the back anyway, so I can just sew this quickly through a few stitches, backwards and forwards, and then trim the excess. Okay. And there is our finished J. So if I put him down, like I said, you can block him by pinning him into place and getting him wet, or doing a very quick iron. It's very hard to show the letters when they're all curly and unblocked, but there is your letter J. Okay, so I hope you managed to follow along. Let's bring back in our curly H as well. These need to be blocked, seriously. But there is our H and our J. And I hope you managed to follow along. I hope you found those useful. I know some of you have been quite desperate for the letter H, and I'm really sorry I can't knock these out quicker. I'd love to be able to. But I've got to design them before I film them and then edit them and then upload. So I hope you can have patience with me, guys. But I will see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching. Bye!